Hello everyone, Barb here from barbaderholt.closetomyheart.com. Today I am going to show you this little card. Here it is with the little penguins. I just wanted to use some products that I had on hand, so I got out my winter penguin set. This is still available online. And it is a stamp and a thin cut set. You don't have to buy the thin cuts, you can just buy the stamp set, but I love thin cuts, so I bought that. This is from my stash. This was called Say It in Style, and I'm using this little tiny thanks right there. I also used this little snowflake on here. Square window Slimline, because I love this. I think it's fun. In the stitch bracket, I used this little tiny one right here. I don't have any Slimline card bases because I used them up. So I had been gifted some 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and I am just using that. I cut it down from 8.5 by 11 to 8.5 by 7. And with the leftover piece that I hacked off of there, I ended up with some little pieces here, and these measure 2.25 by 2. And I will show you what I'm doing with these. I'm going to get some of this stuff out of the way. So I've got my card base, I've got it all folded, I used my bone folder. The one last thing that I have to stamp here is that little snowflake. So I have some Bluebird, and I really like Bluebird, but that was a little strong for me. So I stamped once on a scrap, and then I'm stamping again, and that's second generation stamping, and that lightens it up considerably. You can see how it's lighter. And then I took black ink, just plain old black ink, and I'm going to stamp that thanks right over the top of it. Just like that. That works really well. Let's see if I can get it up here so you can see it. There it is. The next thing we need to do is we need to attach the frame. And I've got some glue here. Hopefully it will be a runner today. Sometimes it gives me a little bit of grief. I know you all know how that goes. And yes, it's coming out a little rusty because my pin is rusting. It's not the original pin that came with it. The original pins that come with that top don't seem to rust, but I always manage to, I don't know, lose the pin. I'm standing my card base up, and that helps me to line this up with the bottom of the card. And I'll give that a nice press. I've got my card base started. Now I'll show you what I'm doing with these. I want to give just a little tiny bit of dimension to these leftover blue panels. These blue panels were what came out of this when I ran it through my die machine, and I saved that because I want to use it. So I took the two little pieces and I am gluing them together and putting them in each of these squares. And that will give me just a little bit of dimension, but it won't be so much that it causes me extra postage needs. It's also very solid, so it won't squish like foam tape would. You know, a foam tape is squishy, and that's nice, but it can smash down when it's mailed. So again, I'm just gluing them together and then popping them into each of these little squares. And then I will take my glue and just run some on top of each square here. And take the three little panels, and I'm centering them close enough not worrying about perfection. And I will show you how that gives it just a little bit of lift there, just a little bit. Then I have my little penguins that I stamped, and I cut them out, and I'm going to put one of each. So I've got one that faces into the card, one that faces straight out. I love this one with the little heart on it. It's my favorite. And then I've got one that faces, again, in toward the center. I thought that offered some nice balance. And then my little sentiment here. This I am going to attach with a little bit of foam tape. I just have a little square, and I'm nestling it in between here, and it's at about the same height. Pull that backing off and tuck our little things on there, just like that. And the last thing I want to do, my clear shimmer brush, just going to do a rap a tap 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 to get some sparkles on here. Could take time and color the little images, but I'm sending these out and I'm not going to take the time to color them. So you can see the sparkle. So cute. And I wanted to show you, if I can get it out here, if you don't have Slimlines and you're making your own, you don't have the envelopes and the bases, this fits into a number 10 business envelope, just like that. Perfect. With room to grow. I love how that works out. These very reasonably priced. So if you have some materials that you can use to make your own Slimline, remember it's 8.5 inches tall and then 7 inches wide. And that 7 inches folds in half so that it's 3.5 inches wide and 8.5 inches long, and that's the typical size of a Slimline card. Let's see if I can get it lined up here. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a blessed, crafty day and a wonderful new year. See you next time.